Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of the Bald Avenger Show, episode number 122. I'm Jason Cisneros, also known as the Bald Avenger, the purveyor of all things common sense, the tattooed guru, the king of the Misfit Nation, and a legend, baby, in my own mind. Those of you that have been watching this past week, you know that some people can do my intro better than I can. And that's fine by me. I don't care. What's up, Casey? How you doing? It's good to see everybody. This week's going to be busy. I've got some really powerful people that I'm going to be talking to. I'm also doing a show with some kids, Caterpillar. I don't know. Tell us what that was, Candy. It's Caterpillar Kids, I believe it is. And that should be interesting. Definitely going to have to watch my mouth for that episode. But yeah, so my day today was spent in the boredom. We got the boredom jar. Those of you guys that watched last night, that my daughter has, and we got into the boredom jar a couple of times today. And so one of the things that we did today was she drew out a new hairstyle. And so I decided that I was going to, and I got to get to my pictures here really quick, that I was going to get into the hair braiding business. Caterpillar Karma. There we go. Caterpillar Karma. So that's going to be a good show. But I've got the picture here. I'll show it as, there we go. But this is my skill sets of, wait a minute, I got to get this thing out of the way. But that's my skill sets of braiding my daughter's hair. And I'll expect judgment, but I don't really care what you think. I did a great job. I watched a YouTube instructional video on how to braid my daughter's hair. And I did all right. You know, the thing that I found very, very useful as the video went on was the more rubber bands you have, the less these big fat fingers have to try to braid really soft, you know, fine hair together. And I could just wrap a rubber band around it, and that made things a lot easier for me. So those of you dads that are out there, great skill set to have. Not sure in wartime where it's going to come in handy, but it will someday come in handy, as it did today. What else did we do? We built a haunted house. We went outside, and what else did we do? We did all kinds of stuff. Played a little basketball, did some good stuff, got out, got our vitamin D. What's up, Cat Dawn? Cat Dawn's in the house. And then today, as in other days, as you know, about a week ago, I went on the offense with my message because I had to. Somebody had to. And so that leads me kind of, this show has some very specific points that I want to make. So took notes, and I want to kind of follow along with them to make sure that I get everything in here. I just want to say hello to everybody. This is the CTFD series, right? The CTFD series, which is calm the fuck down, people, right? That is the message. And that's what I spend most of my days doing. You've got the rest of the world that's out there that seems to have assigned to themselves the job of making sure the rest of us take this seriously while we're taking it seriously. Here's what I think we should do in taking it seriously. It's follow the CDC guidelines. End of story. Okay. End of story. Follow the CDC guidelines. Don't get yourself sick. Don't get other people sick. Don't, take the precautions, wash your hands, do all the stuff. You don't need me to do that. Okay. What I'm here for is to offer a different message. And we'll get into that. There's several very, very good interviews, and I'm having people on my show. I'm going to be on other people's show this week with some very, very influential people and people that are taking a different tact at it. But here's one of the main messages that I want to start out with tonight is that we, in the Misfit Nation, we have kind of some ground rules. They're loosely held ground rules. They're not, like enforceable. There's nobody that's sitting back going, I'm just waiting for somebody to break the rules. But I want to remind people why Misfit Nation started in the first place and where the concept came from and what its purpose is for a group of people who have screwed up in life to come together and learn that we need to make it right with the people that we may have harmed. Number one. Number two, we need to forgive ourselves, right? And forgive other people that may have harmed us so that we're not letting that stuff weigh us down. It gets in the way of our destiny. And for us then to take that message and not make the message about us, but to take the message and say, here's what I learned along the way. Here's what I learned along the path of my screw ups and the things that have happened to me, the trauma that's happened to me, and so on and so forth. And then not make that message about you for attention, but to make that message about a lesson that we could leave our children, the people that are in our tribe, to the world in general. And most of you know, I mean, obviously this show is free. I don't, I've been told like 50 different ways to try to monetize this show, and I don't really care. I don't care. And so, and then to take that message out and really for us to follow the prompting, the leading, the guiding, the vision that you have had on your life, your entire life, right? Is get all that other stuff out of the way, realize that life is not about you. And then the next step is serving the world at large with no expectation for anything in return. Okay. Period. End of sentence. Because if you give with the intent to get something back in return, we call that laughingly and seriously prostitution, right? Because now I'm taking my message. Now, look, I'm not saying you shouldn't have a message. If you have, like our boy Todd Special, right? If you're looking for skill sets to be able to sell, he's your guy. If you're looking for how to overcome life's adversities, you're looking for Danelle Delgado. If you're looking for wisdom beyond his years and a father that can light, you're looking for Paul Blanchards of the world. I could go on and on and on for those people that are out there that have a message that's worth paying for and that should be sold. Okay. On our side, Anton J., if you have a company right now, there's so many companies that are coming to us saying, I'm going to use this downtime to get ready for whatever's coming in the future, whether that's a V recovery or whether that's a long-term recovery or whatever it is, right? We talked about it a couple nights ago that if you're looking at 30% unemployment, you can look at yourself like you're going to be in the 30%. And most of those people are going to be people who are whining, bitching, moaning, excuse makers, victims. Okay. The people that are going to be in the 70% are going to figure out how to increase during this period of time, how to increase their skill sets, how to serve more, right? They're going to take this adversity and go, that's going to crush most people because they don't have the skill sets to deal with it. I do. And I'm going to come back and be stronger. Right. Those things that have come against us in Misfit Nation, all of that stuff was preparation. It was you going to the gym so that you could be strong enough to withstand a time like this, be clear-headed, and be able to execute on a business model. Look around you for two opportunities. Number one, how to serve. Number two, how to advance your family's position in life financially, mentally, relationship, and happiness-wise. Okay, spiritually, all of that. This is your opportunity. Now, most people are spending their time in fear. And what I want to really address, I want to address a major premise of Misfit Nation is that we attack problems. We never attack people. Okay. If you're by your computer and you can type that in and you're a part of the Misfit Nation, what I want you to type in is that we in Misfit Nation attack problems. We never attack people. Okay. This seems, I just, tempers are raging hot right now. And I want to give a little bit of guidance to what happens on my personal page, right? The Jason Cisneros page, and anywhere else where I engage people. If I decide to engage, because there's people that are agenda driven. Okay. It's not who I'm talking about. There's people that are agenda driven on the left, people that are agenda driven on the right. I am not agenda driven. I am progress driven, right? I am success driven. I am overcome driven. That's the position that I take. And so when I decide to engage someone on my personal page, I'm engaging them with a couple of premises, right? I took notes tonight so that I made sure that I stayed on point. If I'm engaging with somebody and we're going back and forth, right? When you see that happening on my page, I have made a couple of assertions about the person that I'm going back and forth with. Number one is that I assume, number one, that they are a good person. Okay. If I believe that they're a bad person or agenda driven, I'll just delete the comments. You've seen it before. I'll just delete them. I don't say anything. I don't respond, but they're not on the site because that's my personal page. Right. And so my point is that I'm going to assume that the person on the other end is a good person. Number two is that I'm going to assume that their intentions are to teach me or to modify my belief because the way that I'm speaking, the way that I'm acting, the activity, the actions that I'm taking they see as that it can be improved by me learning something from them. Okay. And I am going to battle with them with the same intention, is that I think that maybe there's something there that maybe they need to see or can improve their life or their behavior or something that's going to lift them up. It never starts out on my end of the equation by the need, the small egotistic need to be right. I never start out with that premise because I don't need to be right. Right. And thirdly, for me, and I don't always assume it on the other side, but thirdly for me is that if I'm engaging with somebody, that no matter what happens in that conversation, that the relationship is the most important thing to protect. Okay. And so when you guys see me battling with somebody, it's a battle of ideas. I'm never attacking the person. You'll watch, you can see every single time I engage, because I don't do it that often, but every single time I engage, you will see that there is a pattern. Okay. I state my premise. They state their premise. Usually their premise on me is a personal attack or something of that nature. And that's fine. Look, not everybody understands that we attack problems here, not people. And so I get it. And so what I'm doing is saying, I value you. And here's my side of the equation, why I think and behave the way that I do. And then I listen, I wait for the retort. Okay. Here's the thing, that if the retort devolves into someone attacking me on a personal level and attacking my character, now it's not their message. Just like if I was to do it, when I feel like going, you son of a bitch, you're just a dumbass, blah, 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 blah. If I feel myself going there, I know one of two things is happening. One is my argument has failed, right? No, my argument has failed. And number two, that it's about me more than it is the relationship. Okay. Those are the two things that I know are certain, is that if I feel myself getting angry, if I feel myself go, whatever, if I used specific instances, then somebody would think I'm calling them out. I'm not calling anybody out, because the people that I engage with today, the people that I've engaged with in the past, the people that I continue to engage with are important to me as human beings. I don't care. And so if you see me doing that, going back and forth with somebody, automatically assume there's somebody that's important to me. And if there's somebody that's going to choose to opt out of Misfit Nation, then they're going to do these things. They're going to, let me just make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself here, because I really want to stay on point tonight. And is that if they can do nothing but attack me, and then they attack the people that are that are with me in my tribe, right? It's, oh, your followers, they just fall in line. I don't know. I mean, of all of the people in Misfit Nation, I'm not 100% sure that there's any of you that agree with 100% of what I say, right? Matter of fact, I'm more certain of the fact that 100% of you disagree with some of the things that I say and some of the angles of attack that I take, which feeds my soul, right? It feeds my soul. I am desirous of people who do not agree with me at all times. Now, what I spent a lifetime doing was, when I was arguing or whatever, I spent a lifetime, my younger years, with a man who, anytime that I spoke my mind or tried to step in front of my mom or did anything like that, used physical violence to beat me down. And I found out that that's not a good way to address things, right? I have dealt with people in my life that were passive aggressive, and wanted to shame me out of my opinion and really attack. Because when you go, listen to this, when you go on if you start to go into defense mode to say, I'm a good person, I wouldn't do those things that you are accusing me of, you now have succumbed to the bully's outcome. All they want to do is, if you have a solid argument, what they want to do is throw you back into defense mode and have you defending your integrity, your character. That's what they're trying to do. And that I will not do. I will not engage with that, because I've had very, very skilled people that had me doubting myself and doubting my self-worth and doubting my intellect and doubting my voice in this world for so many years, because they were professional shamers. Okay. I'm not going to be shamed. I will not be shamed. And on my side of the equation, I will never shame you. I will never shame someone who disagrees with me. I will never, ever resort to, physical violence I will, but those are other scenarios. But just because you disagree with me, we're not going to get into a physical altercation, okay? If you're coming after somebody that I care about, if you are attacking the vulnerable, then you got a problem with me and we're going to have a physical altercation, okay? But other than that, I'm not concerned about the size of my penis to go measuring it with you. I'm not. I'm happy with it just the way it is, okay? And even if I wasn't, I can't do anything about it, but I am. So the thing that I want you to remember, that is, if you call yourself a representative or a member of the Misfit Nation, is that you must conduct yourself above the line at all times. Okay. Do not find yourself attacking someone else's character, either on your page or someone else's page or anywhere else's page or whatever it is. Do not find yourself attacking someone's character anywhere. Do not resolve or resort or devolve into threats, because if you're trying to protect me, I don't need protection. Okay. You can make poignant, Wendy Smith came on today in an argument that we were having, and she decided to add value to the person that I was in an argument with, which was fantastic. Right? It was an argument that needed to be had. The reason, if I'm having an argument on my page, y'all, I have pre-decided that it is going to add value, because there's people who feel like the person that I'm arguing with, and there's people who feel like I do. I do not do anything by accident. I don't do anything by randomness. I do everything with intention. My intention is to ease suffering. And sometimes if it takes a tough conversation with somebody, then I'll have it, because the rest of us are feeling, so a lot of people feeling on that side and a lot of people feeling on this side. And so the conversation being had with my intent, that I know the last line or the last couple of lines in that conversation are going to be, thank you for having this conversation with me. I love you. Thank you. Thank you for your point of view. Thank you for not attacking me personally. Thank you. I appreciate you. Because the relationship is more important to me than being right, because I'm often wrong. I am constantly upgrading and evolving in my viewpoints, because other people are smart. Okay. They're super smart. And I want to listen to those people, but I have my premise and I have my purpose and I have my reason for being here, and I shall not be shamed, bullied, intimidated out of it. It's never going to happen. You won't scare Jason Cisneros off. It's not going to happen. But what I want everybody to recommit to, if you're in Misfit Nation, is that this is a loosely fit group of misfits that have come together around the concept of loving people. And because we happen to have a worldwide crisis, right, that happens to be facing all of us at the same exact time, does not mean that you result into or revolve or devolve back into someone that cares more about your ego than you do relationship and progress. Okay? So that means be kind. That means don't attack people on a personal level. That means attack problems with a vicious vengeance, with intellect, with study, with research, with whatever tools you have in your own hands to make sure that you're attacking problems that way and never people. I don't want Misfit Nation to be a group of people who are monolith thinkers. That's not what this is about. I am desirous of us disagreeing. I love the fact that we have all sport spectrums that are here. I love the idea that my word is not the final word. It's just another perspective. I love that. I love that. So be kind and be respectful and never attack or threaten anyone that disagrees with you, especially if you happen to be part of Misfit Nation and you're saying that you're part of Misfit Nation and you've been accepted as a member on the Misfit Nation page. Whatever it is that we are all, and all of us that are part of Misfit Nation have been attacked just like that. Let's not become like the people that damaged us in our lives. Let's refuse to ever let that happen. Okay. So that was just a piece of housekeeping on that side of it. I'm just reading through some of my notes to make sure that I watch through this, or make sure that I get all these things out, because I really thought through the show tonight. And not that I don't think through my other shows, but this one's important. I mean, I battled it out with somebody tonight today, two people really I battled it out with online, and both of them at the end of the day know that I love them. Both of them at the end of the day know that I hear them, because remember that in your evolution, that if you're a long ways down the path and your trauma happened a long time ago, it seems like it happened a long time ago for you. For a lot of people, they haven't figured out how to get out of it and they're still in their trauma, right? Even if it happened 10 years ago to them or whatever it was, they're still in their trauma and they need you to love them. They need you to love them. They need you to reach into their world and to demonstrate empathy and not weakness. Now, look, there's a difference, and I want to make this clear, right? There's a line between empathy and accepting someone's excuse. Because I get, when the hardest thing for me to do is to stare somebody in the face that has had dramatic trauma in their life and tell them, not tell them in these words, because this is the wrong way to pay, but essentially that shit happened 10 years ago. You're not there. You are stronger than you will ever know. You have more talent. You have more tools. You survived this stuff. Sometimes what I want to do is I just want to hug them. And I just want to bring them into my chest, and I just want to hold them and go, I'm so fucking sorry that you had to go through that. Sometimes that's what I want to do. Most of the time, that's what I want to do. I want to be like the rest of the world and accept them at their weakness, because they were hurt so bad that I might be that one person that can grab them and hug them and tell them you're okay. That's not my job, y'all. I cannot let that weakness happen. What I have to do is I have to tell people, no, stand. You stand the fuck up. You look at your life and you look at how strong you've been. You look at the things that you've been through, you're still alive and that you're still standing, and this too shall pass. And you are meant to be a leader. I will not accept people at their weakness, because I know, and I've seen so time after time after time after time, I've seen people stand up and show their strength in their weakest moments. And so I cannot, as a leader, as somebody who says that I'm going to serve mankind and that I've dedicated my life to easing suffering, sometimes easing suffering for me means that I have to increase your suffering past the point of feeling sorry for yourself. And it's painful, because I'm a very empathetic person and I want to protect everybody and I want to serve everybody. And it's difficult for me to sometimes to look people in the face and say, stand up on your own 2 feet, because those legs have brought you here. That heart has gotten you here. That brain has gotten you here. And this is the moment for your triumph. This is the moment for you to take all that pain and turn it into fuel. Oh man, what a time we live in. Thank God. Thank God we were born. Thank God we're going through this. Thank God we have each other. Thank God we can reach out and have each other to lean on in times like this. Thank God. I thank God for all of you. I thank God for your hearts. I thank God for your power. I thank God for putting each and every single one of you in my life. I'm grateful beyond doubt. Those of you that irritate the shit out of me, I'm grateful for you. Those of you that love me and reach out to me and ask how I'm doing, I love you. Those of you that are supporting these charities in downtimes, I love you. Thank you. I watch what you're doing with each other and lifting each other up and supporting my little brother, Christopher Kaysen, and supporting the work that he's doing and doing this stuff when you are not certain of your own family's future. I am so proud of you. I'm so proud. I mean, this, when you look back 2 or 3 years ago or whenever this Misfit Nation thing started, I look back and I go, it happened because of now. It happened because of right now. It happened because of what's happening. Unstoppable happened. The event that we did, Unstoppable, happened at precisely the exact right time in history. Precisely. It happened on the Friday that the stock market tanked because everybody was freaking out about this unknown thing. That day is when Unstoppable happened. And a lot of you were there. So I want to give a little bit of clarity to, because I seem to be fighting this battle more and more. One of my best friends in the world, I had a conversation with him this morning, and because I'm asking questions of people, I'm like, the approach that I'm taking, and here's the approach: follow the guidelines, protect yourself, protect your family, but don't be fearful. And had a conversation with one of my, and it was hard to hear, right? It was hard to hear from one of my best friends that he said he's taking the approach that he's watching every word that he says, taking every action that he's taking, so that he doesn't want to be responsible for the loss of life of somebody if he gives the wrong information or if he gives the wrong advice. And I know that, and he said, Jason, I don't know that some of the messaging that you're putting out there is telling people not to take this seriously, and that might be putting people who follow you and love you at risk. And I heard that from somebody who there is zero doubt in my mind that this man loves me and would take a bullet for me. There's no doubt in my mind. And so coming from him, I took the next hour and I evaluated my comments and I evaluated my statements, and I went back and I watched a few of my lives and the approach that I'm taking. And I've come to the conclusion that deep soul searching, that I would never want to put any of your lives at risk. That's the opposite of what I want to do. That if there's been any inference that you shouldn't be doing the things that you're being told by people that are smarter than me on the medical side, that I don't want that to come across. But I also had to step back and go, the tack that I'm taking is to tell you that do that stuff, but don't fear. Don't fear. And I forget sometimes, and you do too as leaders, right? We do this as a human, as humanity, as leaders, as people that are leading. We forget sometimes, once you've reached past that point of victimhood, that you've been through some shit. And I started thinking about it, and I don't like to talk about my story. You guys hear me. I mean, if any interview, I get asked to do a lot of stuff and they want to hear my story, and I don't like telling my story. So I figured out a way, right? I took away a lot of the words, but I get the story out in a very concise way. And, and I forget sometimes that people forget that I've been through radical trauma, that I have, I've never told the story about my lungs being damaged. Nobody knows that. I told that story today, that at 10 months old, I almost died from bronchitis. And I've never told that story because I don't enjoy talking about myself. But if there's anybody that's out there that's acutely aware of the idea that there's something out there that's airborne or touchborne or whatever it is that can get into your lungs, I'm acutely aware of it. I've been hospitalized so many times in my life. And that led to me, radically adjusting my mindset to thinking that I'm a superhero, right? To radically adjusting the way that I eat and supplement my life. And again, I said it, I'm just kind of repeating a post that I put up earlier today, but because my mom was a hippie and we were flat ass broke, sometimes she had to go, break off, asparagus off the side of the road so that we would have something to eat that night. We had to stand in the government lines to get the cheese and the powdered milk and, that big ass yellow block of cheese. We had to do all of that. And to physically put my body under stress all the time to make sure that my lungs are able to be at their peak health rate to be able to process oxygen. And I forgot about that. I forgot it. I didn't forget about the story because I'm radically aware, because if they say that this thing attacks old people and immune depressed, I'm not immune depressed. My immune system is off the charts because of the way that I choose to live my life. But my physical body is susceptible to this very thing that happens to be out there floating around this world. It's susceptible. And people don't know that. And I think sometimes you get into a place as a leader and you think to yourself, you want to put forward this face of indestructibility, that you've never been through trauma, that you've never, I don't think you're a leader if you haven't been through trauma. I don't think you're a leader if you haven't been through rough stuff. Man, I'm not going to follow you. If you haven't crashed a business, I'm not going to listen to you in business. If you haven't crashed a relationship, I'm not going to listen to you about your relationship. If you haven't crashed your health or been through a health crisis, I'm not going to listen to you. Y'all, I've been through all of that. And so in this place where our society, you think about some of those influencers that are out there, right? The society that exists out there that they tell you, and I've never subscribed to this, but you think about some of and I'm talking pre this thing that we're going through, that you look at some of these. I'm going to speak specifically about the men, because these men influencers, A, they've disappeared. B, they put out this air that I believe the way that I believe, and if you believe opposite of me, then you're a pussy. And that if you disagree with me, it's because you're poor. If you disagree with me, it's because you're broke. If you disagree with me, it's because you're not getting laid. If you disagree with me, then it's just that thing that from several of the top people that are out there being recognized as influencers, that this is the way that you should address things. And I vehemently disagree with it. Because the relationship that you can build with somebody by asking, where was I wrong in my assumptions about our communication, right? Where was I wrong in what I assumed? I went through, look, at the end of the day, y'all, there's that my business, I sold all of them at the right time. I was listening to this mantra of cash is trash. And I was like, I'm sorry. I've been broke so many times in my life that I know cash ain't trash, right? I know that it's not trash. And listening to these people, and they have multi-millions of followers that are listening to this nonsense. And I sat on my cash. And it's turned out to be one of the greatest decisions that I've ever made. Because I can, not only can I take care of me and my family, but I can also support charities. I can also take care of my family that has lost their jobs. I can do a lot of stuff from the position that I'm in. And I think to myself that there's this, there, especially young men are being trained that if anybody disagrees with you, act like you have more testosterone and go straight back at them to their face. That it's not, look, I was raised by a guy who did that. If you disagree with me, I'm going to beat the shit out of you because I'm bigger, stronger, and smarter than you are. I was raised by somebody like that. And it wasn't right then, and it's not right now. I don't know this woman. I hope to bring her on the show at some point in time, but I don't know this second woman that I had a disagreement. The first woman is an amazing human being, and we figured it out actually online. The second one went on in a private message for about 6 hours. And my intent was, I don't want to damage this person who's obviously been through trauma. And I took extra time because I have it. And because I believe in the relationship. And how we ended up was she was misunderstanding my position. I was misunderstanding her position. And when we got to when we spent the time in the relationship looking for the commonality of two people that have been hurt in life, that have built up radical defenses to be able to protect ourselves, where was the crack in the wall that I could reach through and get her heart and feel it? Where was the crack? And I found it. And she found it with me. I've never met this person. I don't know that we'll ever meet. I don't know her from anybody. I've never seen her comment. I've never seen her interact on my stuff. And I got nothing to gain out of it except for the experience of how I can be a better man, how I can be a better servant, which automatically makes me a better leader. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for that crack of, if I left it like that, then at the end of the day, this stuff that I'm holding out, I care about how you all feel about me. I care about how you think about me. I do care. I care about how my children see me. I care about the legacy that I leave. But a long time before any of you showed up, a long time ago before any of my children showed up, I had to get right with me. And I had to look at a life that I was embarrassed of. And I had to look at a life that I was ashamed of who I was being, how I was showing up. And I had I made a decision that when I decided I was going to stay here on this earth, that I was going to be proud of myself. If nobody else, that I was going to be proud of how I held and managed and conducted myself as a man. And so that's the standard that I hold myself to. And so where a lot of people would look at that and go, why are you spending so much time engaging? It's because people are scared right now, y'all. Right? People are afraid. They're unsettled because they don't have certainty. Certainty has been ripped out of their life. I've lived a life that has never had a barrier of certainty. It's never had one. And a lot of you have gone through that same scenario where you've lived a life where you've never had, like, the only certainty that you've ever had was the shit you made up in your own mind. And so our job right now, you guys, is for us to, against all odds, is to not forget who you are, not forget what you stand for, not to forget that even if it's that one relationship, you're not better than them. You can't scream at the screen and tell people that they're stupid. You can't yell from a stage and tell them that they're pussies because they're not handling stuff right. You can't do that stuff. Not if, I mean, you can. And obviously there's people that are making tons of money off of it and getting 15, 16, 20, 100, a billion views. And I'm not, and I'm okay with that, because I feel like the people that are supposed to hear me and hear my message are hearing it, and then that's modifying their behavior, and we're improving the world one person at a time. I don't care to do it at a billion at a time. If it happens, it happens. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. It's a conversation between me and you. Often it's a conversation between me and me. Well, for whatever reason, my notes just escaped me. I might have deleted them. I don't know. But here's the thing. I want to say again what I'm fighting against. Okay. I want to say again what I'm fighting against and why I'm taking the approach that I am, is because there's an overwhelming amount of people out there that will tell you about this thing that is going around. And you don't need me to do that. I have said, take it seriously. I have said, follow the guidelines. I've said, do the things that you're being told to do. Follow all of that, but refuse to give in to fear. And here's why. Alcohol consumption sales up 55%. Okay. You know, I know what the ramifications of the long-term ramifications of that are. Far more devastating than we're going through. Okay. Anger, isolation, sadness, depression, suicide, those things, they're on the rise. I'm fighting against that. I'm fighting against the extra alcohol consumption. I'm fighting against anger, which results in domestic violence increasing, which it is. And I'm fighting it with the only tools that I know how to give, the only tools that I know that I have at my disposal. And that's with comedy. That's with love. That's with questioning things that don't make sense to me. That is making sure that we don't give in to some totalitarianism. Because look, there's a lot of people, again, especially in the government, they're not worried about their paychecks. They're not furloughed. They're not losing their paychecks. They're considered essential. Why? I don't know. But at the end of the day, they're not worried. They're not worried because their checks are cashing. And so the length of this going on, the devastation that this does to people financially is just as, not more, it's just as important as the thing itself. And so I shall not be bullied. I shall not be shamed into changing my approach to how I'm dealing with this and how I'm suggesting that you deal with it, which is very simple. Do not live in fear. It damages 100% of your immune system's ability to be able to fight against not just this virus, but any virus that comes against you. When you're stressed, when you're worried, when you're fearful, when you're angry. If you understand the idea that you never had control in the first place, and that you've always lived under an illusion of security and certainty, it's never been true. And that we should come together and we should question our officials. We should question their agendas, because 100% of the time throughout history, They have their interests in mind and power, money and power. It's a drug to them. And if they turn us against each other, now we're no better than Hitler's Germany. No, we're no better than Mao's China. We're no better than Mussolini's Italy. We're no better. Because that turns citizens against each other and they attacked each other's character. And that was the downfall of a nation. That was downfall. It's evil at the end of the day. They had citizens, they had brothers telling on brothers, they had sisters telling on sisters. They thought that it was this thing that was out there called the government was more powerful. Our government has and always will be, maybe, of the people, for the people, by the people, right? It's that last sentence, that by the people. That's us. And they're supposed to be a representative of us. Not our gods. Not our dictators. Not telling us to shut down critical thought and ask solid questions. Not to question their agendas on both sides of the equation. Tell on people that are leaving their house. Slippery slope. Slippery, slippery slope. So we all have a choice to make. I have made my choice. I have decided to plant my flag on the hill of questioning authority, seeking good news, delivering hope, making people laugh, making fun of this stuff, like the radical loss of empathy for people that die of heart attacks and car crashes and all the other stuff that's out there. Everybody's like, yeah, but that's not exponential. Sorry. It's been exponential for a lot of times, for a long time. And if one death from coronavirus is important to you, one death from suicide, one death from alcoholism, one death from starvation, one death from abuse, one death from a car accident, one death from everything. Again, I was shocked to find out that there was 1.8 billion cases of tuberculosis last year, with 10 million people that fell sick from it and 1.5 million deaths. I didn't know that. There is no death that is more important than another. You can't get me to believe otherwise. It's an epidemic. Suicide's an epidemic. Oh, you don't care? You don't care now because somebody's grandfather is going to pass away from the coronavirus? You don't care that somebody just got ran over by a drunk driver? You don't care that somebody died in a drunk driving accident? You don't care that somebody is suffering from the ravages of cancer right now? You don't care all of a sudden because this virus death is more important than them? Fuck off. There's no death, no one suffering. The reason I don't talk about my suffering is because you don't want to hear about it. The reason that I don't talk about my suffering is because when I do, it becomes selfish and about me. And how dare I compare, no matter what it is, how dare I compare my suffering to yours and then have a competition that it might be more important? No suffering is better than another. No suffering is worse than another's. Each and every person goes through their own suffering at their own rate, and they have those feelings for a reason. That's why I would never diminish another suffering. What a terrible thing to do. I would never diminish another person's death. And I feel like I'm over here on this side that's like holding back this ocean of don't forget about these people. Don't forget, because the thing that here's the problem with the math and the modeling and the data that's happening on what we're doing right now is you see from the White House to the Democrats to the media, they have no idea. Every model that has been out there has been wrong. Every single one of them. The ones that didn't take into account sheltering in place, the ones that did. The ones from Gates Foundation, the ones not from Gates Foundation. They've all been wrong. Why? Because the inputs are wrong. We don't know which inputs to put in right now, and nobody's willing to step back and go, we don't know, right? You have, like, I hear this number today for the first time that there's 316 people on ventilators, down from 351 in New York. And I'm thinking to myself, we're being told that they're supposed to be hitting an apex. Hopefully this is not an anomaly. I mean, I hope not. But when I heard the number 316, all I could hear in my head was, there's not enough ventilators. There's not enough beds. When we put 1,000 beds in here and 2,500 beds in there, and we have ventilators to spare, and we have all this stuff. And I'm not making a judgment, but when I question those numbers, I get attacked. That, y'all, is a totalitarianism approach to life. And I'm not having it. I can ask the questions because I want to know. They're legitimate. And when I hear those things, and I know that crime is on the rise, people's cars are being broken into. This is a criminal's dream. And I feel like I'm on this, like I said, holding back this wave of going, there's other stuff going on. And the math that you can do, because it's historical, is you can go back and you can look at the last crash that we had during 2008 and 2009, and you can see the math of domestic violence abuse. You can see the math in increased cancer. You can see the increased heart disease. You can see all of that stuff because the economy got tanked. It's way more predictable than this thing that we happen to be going through. And so I'll be damned if I'm going to be silenced. I'll be damned if the way that I approach this will be shamed. I'll be damned if somebody's going to make me feel guilty. I take my position seriously. And I am going to fight every single day for every death not to occur, for every misdeed not to occur, for every woman who's locked in with their abuser tonight because he was able to go buy alcohol, but he wasn't able to go to work. And he's going to take it out on his woman. For every criminal that's abducted somebody, nobody's looking for him because they're too busy making sure that they're paying attention to social unrest. I will support every breath of my life for certain ministries who's still doing the good work today. I will support Kat Dawn, who every breath of her life is doing what she needs to do. I will support Feed a Billion because there's still people that are starving to death. But obviously, their deaths and their plight. It's not the toast of the moment. Nope, not me. Not me. Nope. I'm not participating in it. So tonight was a little heavier than normal. But I want you to know, I just want you to know that we need to maintain our position as Misfit Nation. If we choose that if we're gonna be Misfit Nation, then then it's more than words. It's more than words. It's a lifestyle. It's a commitment. You don't attack people. You only attack problems. And I want to end with something that William Kent Kruger said. He said, God never promised us an easy life. He never promised that we wouldn't suffer, that we wouldn't feel despair, that we wouldn't feel loneliness and confusion and desperation. What he did promise was that in our sufferings, we would never be alone. And though we may sometimes make ourselves blind and deaf to his presence, He is beside us and around us and within us always. We are never separated from his love. He promised us something else. The most important promise of all, that there would be success, that there would be an end to our pain and our suffering and our loneliness, that we would be with him and know him, and that there would be a heaven. And the most important line in that message that I just read you is that we wouldn't be alone. It's why I do these shows every night. It's why every single time I feel tempted to be like, you know, I don't need this. It's every single time I think about Rayanne Gardner's face. I think about Charles Prinzen and Mapuana. I think about Christopher Kaysen. I think about the people that are out here that if it's you three that are listening, I'm happy for it. You know, I think about you all so very much. And the fact that, yes, life would be easier if I just went and disappeared to an island and never engaged again. I would be a lie to the me that I had that conversation with so long ago, that I said, I'm never from this point forward going to do something that would embarrass me against me. That I would trade all of that in because of temporary comfort, because I could leave, because I could exit the scene, because I could do what a lot of these other influencers have done. They're gone. Not only that, but I'm bringing a message that is absolutely not popular right now. It's not popular for us to be concerned about other people and other things. We need to be focused on one thing and one thing only, and that's all we need to focus on, and that's the only focus. And if you think outside of that, you are killing people, and you're the murderer, and you're a terrible person. Sorry, prefrontal cortex makes us different than every other animal on the face of the planet, which means that we can carry more than one idea in our mind at a time. So I'm going to keep doing that. But the greatest message in what was there was, we're not promised that this is going to be easy. We're not promised that we're not going to be sad. We're not going to be promised that our children aren't going to go through pain, that we aren't going to go through pain, that we're not going to die. Nobody ever said that. Secular, flesh-loving media and advertising has told us that. But God, Spirit, the universe has never said that. We were built to rise to the occasion for when things like this happen, to bring our best tools and our best wisdom, and to remind people that they're not alone. I'm here. I'm never going anywhere. I'm going to answer every single DM. I'm going to answer every single private message, every email, every phone call, every text, every response that comes in through any channels that we have. I've got people that reach out from shows I did a year ago. I'm not going anywhere, y'all. I'm right here. I'm not changing who I am. And I will not prostitute myself to a popular message for views, for dollars, for business, for adoration, for popularity. I'm not going to do it. My message is always that you in the mirror are your best tool. That you in the mirror have to do the hard work to increase your skill sets to meet your purpose for being alive, your destiny. That's not a popular message. I don't know that it's ever going to be a popular message. I may never get beyond like 50 viewers. And I don't care. My income and my family's protection does not depend on people liking me enough to do business with me. I love you all. I hope you hear that from every word that comes out of my mouth. I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm here. Like we're together. And I would mirror and match the words of the Bible that said that you're not promised an easy life, but I promise you're not alone. As long as I draw breath, y'all, you got somebody on your side. I love you. Peace.